when it comes to voice acting, do you remember any people or anybody that kind of inspired you to get into the work you're doing today?
So I always thought I was gonna just do theater. I got really into always, even though I love to read, I always have loved to read. I really got into theater in middle school and was like, I'm moving to New York and I'm gonna do theater. Went to college for theater, did move to New York, did a little bit of theater. I did one show and then COVID happened. So then I was just kind of like, well, what can I do to continue to practice my craft and to become a better actor from home while I have all of this time? And I was interested in voice acting. And by the time the pandemic had started, I'd done a couple of fiction podcasting gigs. Kind of like with Spotify, there's kind of been a resurgence of like the radio play genre. So I was doing a couple of those things in New York. And so I got a microphone. I continued working on some remote projects that way. And then I just started like, messing around and like watching a lot of cartoons during COVID and like trying to mimic some of the voices that I was hearing while watching like Naruto and like Steven Universe and stuff like that. And then just started submitting to projects on Backstage and just continued from there. And I've been doing it full time since then, so about 5 years now.
So that kind of how your process works. You're watching films or movies, or as you said, comic books, or I mean, animation, or even video games, and you're just reciting things back and trying to practice the accents. Kind of walk us through that. How does that work for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you don't have to be able to do voice impressions to be a voice actor, but I think it was just a good tool for me to kind of see what I could do with my voice and just to not be afraid to just try things out, and just trying to like mimic what I was hearing so that I could then go and audition and like create my own characters and be like, okay, if I like, make my voice sound like this, I can make it a little higher, I can like vary my tone. I could try this accent, and, just to be able to continue to create variety. And I think that there's really like endless things that you can do with your voice to create characters.
Right. And then you do a lot of work. So you do work in fantasy worlds. And so how do you kind of ground those characters and their stories so they feel real in the moment? And then you also do just you do like younger kids, you do boys, you do girls. You kind of have you do all the things within it. So talk to us about how do those, how you kind of center those fantasy worlds and make those characters feel real and come alive.
I think that also goes back a little bit to the theater training. I think like in theater school, we learn a lot about just trying to show up authentically and like give give grace to the character that we're portraying. Like you can't judge a character if you're going to authentically play them or lend your voice to them for, an audiobook. So I think just trying to like have a natural curiosity of people and an understanding of people and trying to just like approach each character as like where they are, and try not to like come in with preconceived notions of like, because I think a lot of times for auditions, it can be hard to nail that right away because a lot of times you're just given like an overview of like specs, like, you know, age, gender, likes, dislikes, maybe where they're from, accents, whatever. And so sometimes it's hard to be able to like nail that like understanding and authenticity like from the beginning when you're given just such little excerpts to to pull from. But again, I think it's just like coming from that theater background of just like continually always picking apart characters and just like being open has really helped me like stay grounded in all the different kinds of fantasy worlds and things like that.
If you enjoyed that clip, make sure you head over to www.bookupapp.com to download our app so you can connect with your favorite bookish content creators, start conversations, and start your own book club.